Let's start with one that we are all familiar with, and that is 0.333, right? Everybody knows a 0.33 continuing is what fraction? 1/3, right? So let's go through and demonstrate that by the math of it. Okay, so if we take the value 0.333, and remember, it can either be 0.3 with the dot, 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 or the bar over the top, but 0.3 continuing. All right, step one in this process is to just create an equation, and it's easy just to call it x is equal to. So x equals 0.3 repeating. All right, now what you need to do is you need to determine how many digits are actually repeating here. So in this number, how many digits repeat? One digit repeats, right? It's the number 3, but it's just the one digit. So I'm always just going to write it here just to explain so it's consistent. But I'm going to take and write the number of digits that repeat. All right, so in looking at this, I have one digit repeating. So my next step is to multiply this equation, x equals 0.3 repeating, by 10 to the power of however many digits repeat. So I have 10 to the power of 1 written here. So 10 to the first is just 10. I'm going to multiply each side of this equation by 10. So I get 10x is equal to 3.3 repeating. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the bar here to represent it. The bar just clarifies things. It makes sure that I have the repeating decimals lined up. Okay, so I'm just going to rewrite the 0.3 repeating with the 0.3 bar. Okay, and when I multiply both of these sides by 10, I get 10x equals 3.3 repeating. Okay, I can then move to the next step. I'm writing this new equation above the original one, which I just did. And now I'm going to subtract vertically. So if I subtract straight down these columns, I get 10x minus 1x is 9x. And I get, now notice here, this 0.3 repeating minus this 0.3 repeating. It's going to remove all of those decimals. So I'm just left with 3 minus a 0, whatever the digit in front of the decimal is. So that's a 3. And now I'm going to solve this equation for x. And I do that by dividing both sides by 9. And I get x is equal to 3/9, which reduces to 1/3. And so that gives me my rational form for this number. And now this works with any number of repeating decimals that you might come across. And so let's take just a moment here on your own, and I want you to see if you can find the rational form for 5.23. And so see if you can follow those steps and come up with the rational form for that. Let's talk through the process here. So step by step, I'm going to write my equation, x equals the original. So there's step 1. Okay, so that step's done. Now I'm going to determine how many digits repeat. So how many digits are repeating in this number? 2. So I'm just going to write a little number down here. You don't have to. I'm just doing it so I can explain all of my steps to you guys. And now you're going to multiply the equation in step 1, so this dark blue equation, by 10 to the power of however many digits repeat. So once again, I'm just going to write it down here as kind of a note to myself. So what is 10 squared? Okay, it's 100. So I'm going to multiply both sides of this equation by 100. So 100 times x is 100x. 100 times 5.23 repeating. The 100 moves the decimal how many places to the right? And it's always going to coincide exactly with this power, right? The number of digits that repeat. So I get 523 point. Now, because this 23 keeps repeating, it's 23, 23, 23. So again, I can write my 23 with the bar on top. So that's kind of combining these two steps here. So this is equation for step number 3 written above the equation from step number 1. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract vertically. So if I stack these vertically, which they are, and I subtract each side of this equation, I get 100x minus 1x, which is 99x. And here, the 2, 3 repeating, if you set it up this way and you use this process, those are always going to cancel one another out completely. Okay, so those cancel, and I'm left with 523 minus 5, which is 518. And now, so that's this step. And now my final step here, light blue, or I'll go red. Okay, we solve for x, so we're going to divide both sides by 99. Okay, and then we want to see, can this be simplified at all? Okay, and so the way that we'll look to see that is if we type it into our calculators. I take 518 divided by 99, and I hit enter. There is no simplification. So this is its rational form. There's no other way to simplify it. You do need to, in order to get the full credit on these types of questions, if your answer needs to be in a reduced form, you'll only get partial credit. And so in this one, you're fine. Either way, it winds up being the right answer. Okay? So you don't even need to simplify the fraction.